Roadkill Extra shows up every weekday on MotorTrend On Demand, and you can see them all with a 30-day free trial at MotorTrendOnDemand.com. But here's an example of one of the shows that you missed last week. Hey, it's Frieburger. Even though it's raining up here at the dog farm, I wanted to show you my new toy. This thing over here is a 1972 Jeep Commando. Check it out. Okay, let me give you some background on this thing. Let's go back to 1948. 1948 to 1950, Willys made a car called a Jeepster, which was two-wheel drive. They were all two-wheel drive, and it was like a little Phaeton Roadster convertible kind of thing. They were sort of sporty, jaunty for running around the city. Then they stopped doing it until 1966. The name came back, and in '66, Jeep Kaiser built what they called a Jeepster Commando, and the model number was a C101. They were on a 101-inch wheelbase, and they made that from 1966 to 1971, and then in 1972 they came out with this. This is when AMC owned the company, and they took the word Jeepster out of it and they called them just a Commando. So this is an AMC Jeep Commando, 1972. They also made them in 1973. And then they discontinued them. Why? Because they're ugly. The 66 to 71 has a completely different front clip. They have more of a flat grille on them, more of a traditional Jeep fender on it, the 7-slot grille. They're cooler looking by quite a bit in my opinion. And then in '72, what happened is AMC wanted to put their 304 V8 in these things. They also wanted to use their inline six, both a 232 and a 258. And that's why they stretched out the wheelbase 3 inches. And when they stretched the wheelbase 3 inches, they also made the fenders longer by the same amount. The earlier ones, the wheel opening comes right about there to where the fender separates. And you can change the entire front clip on them. But the wheelbase is longer, so if I did that, there would be some challenges. The thing that's cool about the earlier ones is they've got this same body, which is lower, sleeker than CJ5, CJ7, although they didn't make CJ7s at the time. But you can take a complete CJ front clip and put it on the 66 to 71 Jeepsters. It would bolt to this too, but it would have some difficulties because the frame is longer. You can see in here that the floor on them is even with the rocker panel. It's very much a different design than the CJs, where there's a tall rocker panel and the floor is beneath it. The whole thing's a little bit lower slung. The driving position is a little bit different. It's more car-like. They sold these things, you could buy them without a top at all. You could buy them with this station wagon top like this, which is metal. You could get them with a half cab, like a pickup truck that had a divider down here, or you could get them in a true convertible, and those are the more rare and collectible 66 to 71 Jeepsters. They also, in I think 71, did a Hearst model of the Jeepster, which was a thing that came along with AMC because they were doing the Hearst Ramblers at the time. And the Hearst Jeepster was all red, white, and blue and had a cool shifter and all this stuff, not really performance oriented. The 66 to 71 models came with either the L-head 4-cylinder, which you almost never see, I'm not sure I've seen one, or with the Buick 225 Dauntless Oddfire V6. So my 72 here, you might wonder why I bought it, because I'm wondering why I bought it. Basically because it was a really rust-free example. It was pretty cheap. It doesn't have an engine and trans in it. It's a factory 304 3-speed model. Most of these are missing the tailgate from about here down. They're completely rusted. And this one is solid pretty much everywhere. There's two reasons I bought this. One, or three. I've always dug this Jeepster body style. I don't really like what they call that bullnose front end that has the grille that's more like an egg crate, like a Blazer. I like the 66 to 71 better, but this was a good deal. The reason I was able to accept the bullnose model is, you know how there's cars that just make an impression on you and you always remember them? I remember being at a 4-wheel drive run in the probably late 80s, High Desert Roundup, and there was a guy who had one of these that it was the first time I'd seen somebody who had built a Jeep sort of as a desert race vehicle. It wasn't a rock crawler, wasn't really a trail rider. He had some horsepower in it and he had some wheel travel, smaller tires, and he was going fast through the desert, and that always stuck in my mind. And so that's something I might want to do with this. The other thing that I could do with it is swap this body onto my big Scrambler rock crawler chassis. probably none of those things are ever gonna happen, and this will just be another Jeep in the collection that sits here and rots at the Dulcich Dog Farm. Here's what you missed last week on Roadkill Extra, exclusively on MotorTrend On Demand. Hemi, what does it mean and why do you care? This right here is a cutaway of a Hemi cylinder head.
I saw this at the Zip Tie Drags in Tucson, Arizona.
So it's a 362 cubic inch small block Chevy.
What I really dig about this, it's just like a race truck for the street.
If you need more Roadkill Extra, go sign up for the 30-day free trial right now.